Hello, everyone, and welcome to the eighth episode of Point of View, a series of leadership discussions by amazing workplaces. I started this series almost a month back, and when I started it, the idea was to get in touch with leaders and to understand their stories, their experiences, their career journeys, to understand by getting into a conversation with them, to share their views about the various aspects that make organization really amazing. The purpose of these discussions was to understand what drives leaders to their own workplaces so that we can delve deeper into the corporate philosophy and share with our audience path-breaking ideas that come straight from people who have gone ahead and changed their workplace to make them better, more inviting, and extremely thriving for their own people. Today, our guest on the show is Dipali Bharadwaj. She is Executive Director, HR, Cushman and Wakefield. Dipali has extensive experience as an HR leader in the sectors of consulting, retail, consumer durable, even not for profit, and other sectors. She has handled diverse internal and external client groups, teams, and exemplifying strong HR leadership in a matrix environment. She likes working in cross cultural teams at the global as well as local level. So, welcome, Dipali. I'm so excited to have you on my show today. Really. How are you doing, Dipali?
Thank you, Ekta. Absolute pleasure to be on your show. Amazing Workplaces is the ultimate objective for most of us HR professionals and most people in the leadership. So it's great to be on your platform and looking forward to a conversation. Doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipali. I'm really so excited to have you here. And like you rightly mentioned, yes, Amazing Workplaces is the end goal and objective of all organizations. And who better than an HR person to talk about it? Dipali, you've had a track record in partnering business growth across various industries with expertise in designing and restructuring, post merger integration, developing and deploying performance management systems, and leading change management initiatives in your career. So, in your career journey, you worked with various sectors, right from retail to consulting and not for profit. So, tell us something about your career journey, Dipali.
Sure. Um, my journey started about 25 years ago, Ekta, and that's for sure not to judge my or guess my age with that. But I was fortunate to start my career at a time when the new multinationals started to come into India and the Indian corporates had started reinventing their businesses. So over the years with various firms, I was fortunate to get opportunities to work in various industries, like you mentioned, consulting, manufacturing and consumer durables, retail, not for profit, and of course now real estate. I think in my journey, I got an opportunity to manage different portfolios apart from the people portfolio, which is my core, which is the human resources function. But I think what really helped me, kind of accelerate my journey has been the all-rounded exposure, whether into sales, marketing, product management, even inventory management, and of course, people management. Like I said, it's the core of everything I've done in my career. So over the years, the people acumen solidified with the commercial mindset, and I think that supported me in delivering for the best for every firm that I've worked for. And of course, it's been an ever-changing journey of learning new experiences. With with changes coming in the dynamic world, changing perspectives for self, and managing work-life balance, as they always say, because with growth comes also challenges on both fronts, and of course the support of various network of people, both personally and professionally. So it's been a roller coaster ride, if I can say that.
Okay, thanks, Dipali. And if I may just add here, when this is our second meeting, actually, second one is online thanks to the pandemic. With the first one, I've met you, and I have actually found you to be a very calm and composed kind of a leader. I mean, that's one of the good qualities of leadership. You make people so comfortable. And I really look up to you for that, because the way you carry yourself as a leader, I think it's really commendable. I just wanted to add it here because I forgot it in the introduction. I thought I'll just add this here. It's,
It's very kind of you to say that, Ekta. I wish I could feel the same way
I'm
as
sure
you.
your people must be thinking of you as a very empathetic leader as well.
I
So
think that comes naturally to us women, being empathetic and multitasking. I think are two things we naturally are provided with probably.
yeah,
But I would say that I would have many colleagues who are similar, and I think your environment makes you what you are.
absolutely. Uh, okay, so talking about leaders, Dipali, leaders are also employees in a way, yeah.
Yes.
So, stepping into an employee's shoes and looking from an employee's perspective, what are the three top attributes for saying yes to a new role and why, from your own perspective? Yeah.
Okay, I think to my mind, with the ever-changing times and the world is changing at a very fast pace. I think the employees' perspectives also continue to change. Each
Yeah.
employee has a unique need, or if not a unique need, one would have something which is more required in one person would not be the required in a second person. So, in their own hierarchy of needs, what matters is an individual call for each employee to say yes to a role. Just to give an example, for one employee's challenges in one role could be a driver. For another, financial stability could be of more importance.
True.
Also, situations drive the changes also in employees' perspectives. Just as an example, again, in the current pandemic, the employee perspective would be around employee benefits and care provided by the firm would be a major decision maker for them to look at. Yeah, but if I talk about individually, I think any organization's growth mindset and the culture, and their ability to take calculated risks, and providing an environment where everybody can bring their whole selves to work would matter a lot to for a person like me. Where you have independence for decision making, where you can take calculated risks, deliver more than your 100%, because the environment enables that. I think that matters to me individually, and I would say that I would support that with my current organizations, Cushman and Wakefield. I think where we have a great balance of all these factors. For example, employee benefits are par excellence. Organization invests a lot into people and benefits for them. They're learning a growth mindset which is overarching in the firm to ensure progress for every employee. And when every employee nurtures and grows in a firm, then the organization also grows. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. So I think bringing everybody's potential in a wholesome manner, in an inclusive manner, is what matters.
Okay, thanks, Ipali. So, basically, you are saying that for every individual, that criteria of judgment of a role would, vary, right, from their own
Yes.
personal experiences and needs and desires. So, what exactly is it that drives you to it,
What drives me to a place?
to a place? Yeah.
The culture and the people that I work with. Absolutely. It's not about the name of the firm. It is about the mindset of the firm. And especially as HR professionals, what we see is that how people oriented a firm is, and because that's the core of what we do, hence that would matter a lot.
Okay. So, Dipali, we talk a lot about culture. So, how would you define culture?
A culture, as they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. That's my favorite punchline, as I always say this, because culture is the only thing which is sustainable and yet can be differentiated. It can't be copied by anybody anywhere. So culture is all pervasive. The same employee who could not have been so successful in an X organization could be very successful in a Y organization, because the culture enables that kind of a growth for that individual or an independence to operate. Just as an example, so I think culture really defines about everyday working of every individual in the firm. uh, a person who's spending the waking hours or most of the waking hours at the workplace it has to be something which where he can every employee can work in stress free and work out stress free. So when they go out, they should be equally motivated when they come in. So when they get out of the bed every morning, they should feel like coming to work, and only a culture can enable that. I know
Absolutely.
it may not sound like a very long strategic cliche answer, but at the end of the day, every employee has to feel motivated to get to work, and in today's world, even online work, with the same motivation and same enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Where and culture really defines the employee, their own growth, the organization's growth, in many ways. I mean, if performance is at the core of an organization, every employee strives towards building that. If learning and changing with the fast paced world today is at the core of an organization, the individuals will also adapt to that. So in the end, culture is
Yeah.
not only about living your everyday lives comfortably, and I'm here talking as an employee, but
Yeah.
also about growth for every individual in the firm. And growth comes in various ways: high trust, high performance.
Yeah.
So I mean, how organizations enable that for the employee, that matters, and that is what culture is all about.
True, very true. In fact, culture actually, what I feel is it brings belongingness to an organization. The moment you that belongingness to a goal, to what the organization stands for, it automatically motivates you to get out of bed every day and go to
Oh,
office. Yeah.
absolutely. A sense of purpose, as we call it. You know, so if an organization has a sense of purpose, yes, and that will thrive. When the brand has a sense of purpose, that will make it thrive. And when people have a sense of purpose, they will move from surviving to thriving. To thriving.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, Dipali, you have handled business head responsibilities with exponential revenue growth and positive bottom line impact, in addition to the role of HR, yeah, like we just discussed. So, this experience has built capability to envision and inspire others in you and to build organizations and teams ground up. What is your take on these three aspects of an organization: high performing teams, leadership, and profitability? And how can HR become a catalyst in these three areas?
You've touched on the right things, Ekta. All three aspects are completely linked. The firm's leadership plays a critical role in developing high performing individuals, leading into teams, and of course, subsequently leading into profitability. HR plays a critical role in enabling all the aspects to ensure that people work for their careers, and there is an environment where everybody is working to their best potential. And when people work to the best of their potential as individuals, and work for their own careers, the organization's growth is a given. So HR is the platform that provides or enables that for each employee in the organization. Contrary to the belief, HR is not a support function. It is the support. The times has changed, and so has the HR function. Um, uh, the it is today HR is an equal partner in the business growth. So people strategies, be it talent acquisition, performance management, and many other things that we do as part of the people processes that we bring into the firm, including quality talent embedded into the overall culture of the firm, is enabled by the HR professionals. So hence, HR becomes a key to the business growth. Yeah.
Right.
All practices and development initiatives today are oriented to further the business and build high performing teams and individuals, so that everybody grows in the process. And that's a very critical and role as a catalyst of HR, as you talked about. And I can say this very clearly with an example from Cushman and Wakefield. Um, and all this, and more makes us embrace all the unprecedented change that we are currently experiencing and continue to take charge, and create what's next for the people and for the firm by leveraging these changes in our everyday working. It means, simply put, that we recognize the importance of people and everything that they bring to the workplace. Everyone has to today lead and 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 work for their careers and ensure, and like I said, HR ensures that environment, ensures that HR ensures that processes, HR ensures the culture and the environment to deliver on all of those aspects, and ensures that the business, with all these kind of initiatives, is future ready.
Okay, thank you, Dipali. Thanks for throwing light on this question. Yeah, do you feel that HR in certain organizations need to, review their roles also? Because if we see it, in the developed or in the fairly bigger organizations, larger organizations, HR is playing a very very prominent role, like getting associated with the ROI also, right? Right, profitability as we discussed. But in smaller organizations, HR is, admin and HR functions are also combined. So, in that case, do you feel that there's something which needs to change? HR needs to have more prominence and more importance in organizations.
Again, it's like I said, the culture, which is the which is fueled by the organizational mindset, matters. I individually feel sometimes it's much easier to do more challenging roles in a smaller organization, because they don't have that many hands and heads to put together. So a lot has to be driven individually, and if people have interest, and especially HR people, I say, have to have an understanding of the business for them to be able to contribute more positively. That commercial mindset is an important part, because the world is changing big time around us, and at the end of the day, organization's purpose is to have a certain kind of an outcome that is a win-win for each employee as well as the firm. It's not only about growth of the firm. But the firm will grow only when the employees will grow. So people are at the core of everything that HR has to do. So HR people have to definitely reinvent their thinking, change with the changing times, put new dynamics, keep learning, and unlearning at the same time, to be able to deliver the best for the firm. See, at the end of the day, it's not an organization which is big or small. It is about the culture of the firm and how much they allow that allow you to get out of the regular mindset. I think every HR person should understand business, because if they will not understand business, they can never partner the way the organization would expect them. So
Right.
it's you have to continue on your own learning curve, and it may be a great idea for everybody, or try as much as possible to look for opportunities and capitalize on those opportunities of finding newer revenues in the same firm, because those are always available. And when I'm saying, I'm not restricting this to HR people, I would say this, equally the business people have to understand the HR practices, because people are delivering for them.
True.
So rather than ensuring, while everybody has a delivery at the end of the day as a function, employee or a leader, you have to look at things in an organization's perspective. Yeah. And once you put both the caps together, which is the organization and the functional, the delivery will be of a different quality and league.
True.
And I think everybody should try and do that.
Absolutely. Okay, Dipali, that brings us to a very important aspect of your role, being a woman leader. Yeah. So, being a woman leader, what have been your strengths and pitfalls, and what is the single important advice you would like to give to women who aspire to make a great career?
Okay, that's a lot of questions pulled into one. I'll try and answer those. I think personally, if I speak about myself, commitment to quality and ethics, I think is a very important part of everything that we do as professionals. And I would say that matters a lot to an individual such as me. The other thing is, you can say it's a plus or a minus, but the attitude is never say never. There's a solution to every situation, as long as you put your mind to it. that's one thing that I go by in my rule book, if I may say this. And I think as an individual, I've always believed and worked like that while you are a part of a larger ecosystem and teams, as one person you can make a difference if you're driven by your goals, by your passion and competence. And I think that really ensures that every individual is again thriving in a larger platform. So that's some of those things that I've always worked with. Some of the things that one has learned with people that one has worked with, and some experiences make you through that. Always take calculated risks is something that I go by. You need to evaluate situations and go to uncharted territories. Why not? Always keep pushing the envelope further because every situation can be bettered. So these are some of my philosophies. And of course, like I said, and I would like to reiterate, develop a business orientation to be able to provide the best solution. It's an important part or an imperative of the work that we do today.
Yeah.
My advice that I can give to women, I think the pace of change is very, very unprecedented today, and we are living in a time where change is not going to stop. Yeah, so embrace the opportunities. Yeah, and change your perspective continuously with that, and work consciously with the new mindset. I try and imbibe that, but it's an evolving change that we all have to consciously build around ourselves, and be flexible, agile, experiment with roles outside your standard domain, enhance your horizons. That is what I would definitely say that. Um, in terms of pitfalls, I often say that we make our jobs look very effortless, while a lot of effort goes behind it. So take credit where it is due. Doesn't see it as a lack of humility or modesty. I think we sometimes, get into that space ourselves, and of course, don't self-scrutinize yourself too much. Don't be so hard on yourselves. It's important to take care of oneself, work towards that, and while it may seem like too much of advice, but continue to learn and grow from your experiences.
So I think, from this wonderful answer that you have given, that being a woman leader, yeah, or aspiring to reach the top as a female, it's no different from being a, in a male's shoes, right? You have to do the same things, right?
If it may sound like a chip on the shoulder,
Yeah,
then I would say let it be. Um, I think it's never. I think we'll have to somewhere stop thinking about it as a men or a women domain,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
just think. I mean. Think it as, I mean, if I have to think of something which is next role for me, or
Yeah.
or a next career journey for me, it should not be seen that I need a woman here, or what will I do as a woman, what would I do for that role, what
Absolutely.
competence
Yeah.
a person brings on the role. I think we have to start thinking in that mindset, and I think this gender should kind of thrash down. So I would say that all women say that we can do multitasking, and we are naturally empathetic. I said that just now a couple of
Yeah.
minutes back. Similarly, men bring their own set of competence on the table. So it's the same world for for everyone. But I think what definitely needs to change is sometimes the conditioning that women bring in their own mindsets, and unless that will not change, the world outside of it will seem similar to them. So it's about here what you think. Just as an example, I can give you. If you will look at around leadership goals for women versus men, and that's where I have a bit of a disconnect sometimes with the way we think. So when I'm saying we, I am generalizing at least some women. Um, Most men will say, I will double my sales, double the sales, in the next 3 years, just as an example. A woman will say, we will grow
Yeah.
the business from an X to Y to Z. So, So they will not, show those as big, hairy, audacious goals. While they may still have it in their heads,
Yeah.
they will not position it like this because they position themselves as very practical most often. That's what I'm saying. Ambition is an important part of what
Yeah.
we do in our career spaces, and we should also be positioning ourselves accordingly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think that was very relevant in today's times. Yeah. And we really need to understand that. That is the role, the organization that is beyond everything else, right? And if we are ready to go for it, if we are ready to play that role and bring the results, I think there's no stopping. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
thanks, Dipali. Now, being while we are still on the discussion about women, we have seen that women usually find it tough to make it to the top for various reasons. Yeah, and especially in this current pandemic situation, where the entire way of working is getting disrupted, and organizations are exploring remote and hybrid models of working. How do you foresee the future of women diversity and the success ratio?
I yes, you're right. The world is changing at a very, very fast pace, and there are new models that are coming in. It's a big change, but it's a great opportunity. I do see it like that. It is an opportunity to capitalize on the pool of talent and experience that is available to organizations today. And a lot of women do need flexibility at times. So in the current situation, the way the flexible working models have kind of come into fold, that makes it even more helpful. I think it's about change of a mindset that needs to come in. But as organizations, like I said, having embraced flexibility in working, there is a massive talent pool that is out there waiting to be tapped into. We can build that, reach them, and build that confidence as an organizations to these women, and also build their, support their building their financial independence, I would say. So a lot of women today are not working. They're qualified women, and with the new proof of concept on the way working models are, I'm sure we can bring a lot of women into the workplace today. So I see it rather, it's an opportunity rather than a challenge, by any means. It's more possible now than ever before, I think. As an organization, our role is to be understanding, you know, and provide a platform to the women to reskill themselves and come into the mainstream. The mechanism already exists. Women have come back to work, after having taken sabbaticals. The mindsets are also fortunately changing at with workplaces. So, I mean, just as an example, at Cushman and Wakefield, we've had women who've come after 10-year working
I
breaks,
know.
3 years working breaks, and stuff like that. And we have a flourishing returnship for women program at Cushman and Wakefield. That's just a testament that it's a matter of staying on the path and keep building on it. You know, I just think it's an opportunity, and organizations should open their minds for it.
Thank you, Dipali. That was really positive, and this is the first time, in fact, that in my discussions I have raised the topic of diversity, especially women-related
Uh-huh.
diversity, and I'm sure our audience would really benefit from this. Every time, my effort is to try and bring a new question so that we can have new perspectives from different kinds of leaders. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dipali. It was wonderful having you for this
Pleasure.
discussion today. Uh, I'm sure we'll keep having many such discussions in the future as well to understand how workplaces can be improved and made more amazing. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, Ekta, and of course, your progressive outlook towards making amazing workplaces. Thank you.
Thank you so
Continue to
much,
learn.
Dipali. Thanks a ton.